anything with words,
once there was words in it. Yeah, man. Yeah. Once something was written, I'm reading it. When you see the machete, I see made in Great Britain. And you see a ratchet, I see okapi, made in South Africa. So my Trenchtown ghetto experience gave me, the ammunition, the material with which I could then share comedy. And that began the comedy route. One boy said, Miss, we Blakka in Blakka. That became my name. I embraced it. You never know, but it was blackest. Oliver Samuel, respect and honor, man. You open doors to other people. Live Jamaica broke every record. I.T. and Fancy Cat also broke records. You know what I mean? I.T. and Fancy Cat did 10 seasons, 10 years on TV. That had never happened before. I walked into my own nine eyes. Listen to me. Listen to me.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Muscle, and this is another Two Line Music Hut's Entertainment Report podcast. And today, we have a really special guest in the building. Listen, this man, I've seen this man in Toronto for a while, talking back and forth. This is when I was selling music at that time there. So I couldn't really, there was no platform to sit down and talk. And I knew this man always had crazy history. But now we have the platform. Fast forward now. We have the platform. Now I get to sit down in the presence of a great man like this. You know, we have in the building today, we have Mr. Blakka Ellis in the building today. What's going on, big boss?
What's going on? That can take a whole weeks, weeks of discussion. A lot's going on. I'm happy. I'm growing. I'm aging, and I embrace aging. I'm still doing some stuff in stand-up comedy. A lot less because I'm not so into that. I mean, I still enjoy doing it, but it's not number one on my agenda right now. I'm teaching at the Edinburgh College in Jamaica. I'm doing a lot of community work in Trenchtown, and I am just enjoying life.
Enjoying life. And you see all of that stuff you gave me in 30 seconds? That's what we're going to really open that up and figure out all of what you've done, because I know you're a writer, you're an educator, clearly you're an entertainer, you give back, you do so many things, you know what I mean? And today we're going to find out, because I know you of all people, you're a true Trenchtown representative.
Totally.
All right? Totally. I even call you Mr. Trenchtown.
I accept that happily accept that. Trenchtown is my place.
Yeah,
man.
What was it like growing up in Trenchtown?
It was challenging. It was abject poverty. No question about that. I was raised by an aunt. My aunt was a fishmonger. She sold fish at the corner of West Road and 3rd Street in Trenchtown. My mom was never a part of my life. My dad was somewhere around the corner. So it was just my aunt and a bunch of siblings in the house that was just, people have, you see, when you hear about Trenchtown, people love to look at the romanticized version of Bob Marley sing about government yard in Trenchtown. And I figure that is the lowest of the wrong, government yard. We live below that wrong. Because you have below the government yard, you have the capsule land area. Because government yard means that it's concrete house and running water. Capsule land means that it's wooden shack, zinc roof, catch water sandpipe thing. That's where I lived, right? So now that was growing up, but there's all this sense of this balance, this we are this, but we're that. In other words, we're poor, but I am the nephew of Alton Ellis, and they're famous or they're popular. So there's all that balance between we are poor, but there's hope.
There was always that but.
Absolutely. You are poor, but you're bright, and you're gonna get somewhere. So there's all of that but, and the but meant that there was that it's never just what you see. So and I'm very proud to say that Trenchtown is a big part of my heritage. Listen, my grandparents lived in Trenchtown, so there has been an Ellis in Trenchtown from the 1930s until now, non-stop. Our family had never stopped being in Trenchtown.
Yeah.
Some folks get rich and moved out, and some of us did do that, but our family has been in Trenchtown from the 1930s until now.
That's a long time, boss. That's almost 100 years.
Several generations.
Yeah.
Trust me, yeah, man.
Okay, because I know you said you grew up with your grandmother, because I know your mother, she was a dancer.
Yeah.
And your father was a backup singer for Alton Ellis, which was his younger brother.
Yeah, you got your facts. You got your facts. So when Alton say, "Girl, I've got a date," my father say, "Ah." It was Alton on the Flames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah, your father was he was the Flames.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he was also writing 20 songs for Alton as well.
Okay.
You know, he moved to Toronto years ago and lived there and died there, my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, at Eglinton for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. So with your mom, because I know your mom's originally from Montego Bay.
Yeah.
And I think your father was from Trenchtown.
From Born and Brought Trenchtown.
Okay. So how did they meet in the first place? Her being all the way on this side and him being over here?
Through the work, because she was dancing on a show where he was singing with Alton at a cinema, a theater in Kingston somewhere. Can't remember it's a theater, God, I forget the name. It's right near Tivoli Gardens. What a theater name again? Oh my goodness, the Regal and the Regal. Forget the name, but so they met there at a show, and things happened, you know. And that she was Montego Bay, living in Montego Bay, but she kept to Kingston time and time again because my aunt who raised us was her older sister.
Okay.
So that's how they linked up. And the funny thing is, I never have seen my mother and my father together in the same space ever in my lifetime.
Never.
Never.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's interesting there. So I guess so why did you grow up with your aunt at that time, but you knew that your mom was in Montego Bay? Was there a situation where she said, okay, it might be better for you to live in Trenchtown and grow up than where her situation was, or what really transpired there?
My aunt also raised my mother because she's much older than her. And she basically said to her, I'll take care of the kids, you go and look life. But my mom was the kind of woman who she would get pregnant, bring the kids, leave them with auntie, and go dance. Yeah.
So it's almost like, even though she's your aunt, she was almost like your grandmother also, because she's the one that raised
my
your
mother.
mom.
Yeah.
So it's like, a lot of people say they grew up with their grandmother. So essentially it would have been your grandmother you grew up with, but wasn't granny, but it was auntie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Auntie Becca. Yeah, man.
Right. Yeah. And what was it like growing up with your aunt now, being in the house? And how many brothers and sisters?
There were 6 of us in that household with Auntie Becca. Jean, Shirley, Aston, Keith, 6 of us. I was called Keith. That's my pet name. Yeah. But 6 of us, and Auntie, it was just, she went to Greenwich get the fish, she sell at the corner of the roadside, and come at even time, and she would read the Gleaner and discuss with her friends, and she was a very hard woman. She had a very difficult life. She had all these kids, and her parents weren't supporting her with them, and so she was very frustrated, and she expressed her frustration. She raised us, so she was brutal. She was verbally and physically abusive. We get beaten daily. We get beaten daily. And when it was beaten was the end of the spectrum, because there was already the cussing. Cussing and then beating. And I grew up on that. And we weren't bad kids, When other kids were busy getting involved in crime and petty thief and so on, we were just, well, at least I was into books,
Yeah.
When other youth ride skate and play marble and fly kite, I was just hung out, struck on Nancy Drew, Bob the Twin, Hardy Boy, Archie Comic, That was my thing,
Anything with words?
Once there was words, I was in it. Yeah, man. Yeah. Once something was written, I'm reading it. When you see the machete, I see made in Great Britain. And you see a ratchet, I see Okapi, made in South Africa. And you see a sardine tin, me say New Brunswick, Newfoundland product. I was not into the words.
Yeah.
And that's perhaps what saved me. Because I could have got involved in crime like many youth around me. But books was my escape into a different world.
And what do you think it was about books in particular? Because again, you could have got involved with outside, you could have got involved with anything. But what do you think it was about reading that really attracted you to something like that?
I think I have to give credit to my grade 3 teacher, a woman named Phyllis Welsh. God bless and rest her soul. Miss Welsh turned me on to the joy of reading. And she made school life fun. I would look forward to leaving home to go to school because Miss Welsh was there to just embrace you and love on you. And she also introduced me to performing on stage. She had me doing dancing and singing and so on. So I was getting used to loving the stage through her. But through her, I got this real love for words, for the beauty of poetry and the rhythm of words, and just being able to encounter words and meaning. And I loved words from then till now. And Miss Welsh should take all the credit for that.
From that there. So as you said, there's 6 kids in the house plus their aunt. Was there a man in the house also?
She had a couple of men that she beat them and them left. Auntie beat everybody. Auntie beat police, auntie beat thief, auntie fight woman, man, boy. Auntie was a physically violent woman. So I remember there was Mr. Bobo and Mr. Fanso. Mr. Bobo, and because she was a fishmonger. And the men, the 2 men that she had in the time we've known her were fishermen. It made sense, you know. But they couldn't say it with auntie because she battered them. she was.
So at that time in the house now, she's selling fish at the side of the road and stuff. What do you think you were gonna grow up and get into? What did you want to be when you got older at that time there?
I want to be a lawyer.
A lawyer?
Yeah. I just saw that a lot of people who use words to free people and use words to change dynamics. And I thought, that is what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer. And up to the end of high school, that was my aim, to be a lawyer. But then toward the end of high school, I got involved in acting, and I thought, hey, this feels good, it feels great, and ended up at school of drama.
And you still get to use words, because your thing seems like it was always words.
Always.
So a lawyer, I'm going to use these words to free people, or acting, I'm going to use these words to bring joy to people.
And they thought of freeing them from the pain and the struggle of their ordinary life. So it is still, in a way, using words that way. Yeah.
Words there. Okay, there. And even your brothers and sisters that were in the house, what were they into at that time there? What did they like? Because remember, you like books and stuff. Yeah. So what did they like?
It's interesting because the other way in which all of us were on a trajectory towards entertainment in some way or the other. Because one of my brother became a dancer, or my sister became a dancer, and two of my brothers became musicians. So we were all heading in that direction, almost without wanting to. It's like that life was calling you. We had a band when I was about 14. We had a band called Youth Corporation. Yeah. I was on drums, my brother Junior on bass, my brother Aston on guitar, and a young man who became famous, Anthony Johnson. Roy, we call him Roy, was the vocalist. He was a Dennis Brown son like. He had a big hit called Every Day is a Gunshot and Another One Get Dropped. That was our band, Youth Corporation. Yeah, man.
Did not know
that. I was a drummer, a trumpet player in a band.
Okay, so then when did drumming and stuff, instruments come into your life early too, or that was a bit later?
That was earlier. I would. So my brother Aston, and everybody think that we're twins because we're almost identical. He's a musician. I mean, he plays guitar, bass, drum, steel pan, everything. And he was the driver behind that. And we started the band before high school. We had the band. But I think the 70s changed everything. In between 72 and 76, Trenchtown became, violent, and the political violence just put everything. So we had to move from Trenchtown. We moved New Year's Day 76, because the house was set on fire New Year's Eve night 75. Yeah. And we left Trenchtown, like under shadow of darkness, and moved to a place called Central Village, Suffragette Heights in St. Catherine. So my brother Hassan went to Montego Bay to live with my mom, and the band just dissipated. And I stayed in high school and just took theater as a different route.
Okay, so then you were playing around with the thing. And what was your attraction to drums?
I'm very into rhythm and tempo. I love rhythm. Even when I play with words, because I see in words a sense of rhythm and riddles, because words challenge you to say, what do I really mean? And there's a riddle in that. And so rhythm and riddle was always my thing, and drumming gave me that. And I insist that the drummer in the band is the keeper of the tempo. The drummer is the real guide, and life is rhythm. Our heartbeat, time is rhythm. If you stop and check the seconds, 1,000, 2,000, that's rhythm. The time Our life it's a rhythm. Our body is a rhythm. Our heartbeat, our pulse, it's all rhythm. 24 hours rhythm. So life is a rhythm. So drum became natural to me.
It was just so it seems like a lot of stuff just happened to. It was a natural progression for you because these are stuff that you liked. It just floated into your life.
Totally. And I mean, some white person once said that if you do what you love, you never work for a day of your life. And that's what I've been doing all my life, doing stuff that I love. And sometimes it's difficult because the artists, them don't want to pay because they're having too much fun. But it is fun, but we still want to get paid,
It still work. This is how I feed my family.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely.
What I mean? So you said growing up with your aunt now in Trenchtown, the area started to get rough. Inside of the house now is a bit abusive because your aunt now, she likes to cuss a lot. She likes to beat and all of these stuff there. So then I guess, would you say words and drumming and all these stuff here was your escape from what was going on inside your house and outside your house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could lose yourself in the rhythm of the music, in the rhythm of the words, and even momentarily. And there was always that. You could, and I tell kids all the while, you don't understand the extent to which a book. Just sit before something, and you could just, by looking at those words, you move literally, physically, spiritually, emotionally into a different space, into a different mood, into a different feeling, into a different character, into a different you. And you can then access the better you, the best of yourself by getting lost in words. So whatever the words are, the Quran, the Bible, the newspaper, the just read stuff.
Just words. You just want the words.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? And then these times here now, did you meet Bob Marley or who were some of your friends in Trenchtown at this time here now?
So I never met Bob Marley as in like shake and I say, hello, I am Bob Marley. But I encountered him. And I have to give credit to the Wailers. They were musicians who were living and working in Trenchtown. And they exemplified the teaching of Christ who said, allow the children to come unto me. Kids were never told, you can't come here, you can't come there. Kids were free to move around. So then, when they were rehearsing on First Street, you were on the floor, sitting on the floor, absorbing the music. You're sitting on the floor in a cloud of chalice smoke while the great men rehearsed. I mean, that was. I look back now and say, boy, I had no idea how special that was as a child. Sitting on the floor with a bunch of kids. No shoes, tear bottom pants, no shirt, and us getting lost in the music. They never said kids can't come in. They allowed us in, and that was, for me, special. When I started high school, I remember mornings I'd be walking to get the bus and seeing two Rastamen dragging around the field on First Street, Bob Marley and Skill Cole. Every morning they were there dragging. I realized now if those were the days of cell phone, I'd be like going live, watching Marley and Skill Cole dragging in the morning because they were really into keeping fit. But those are my Trenchtown memories, seeing Bob Marley walking on the field and just sleep on the wall on a reason was just special now when I look back. And then it was just a regular thing.
It's just somebody here just sing to music and
I realized no man how special those moments were. If I could have recorded it, I could have sell it on eBay.
Because I know somebody that was very instrumental with Bob Marley, Wailers, and everybody was Joe Higgs.
Yeah, oh yeah. So Joe Higgs lived across the road from my father on 3rd Street. So another thing to when I look back now, I think, I was seeing people like, Joe Higgs, Ken Booth, Leroy Sibbles, and it was like nothing. They were just friends, and there are things that I remember now that I'm thinking, it don't happen like that anymore. Where singers just help each other. Because the first time I saw a recording happening live, I walked with my cousin Noel, with Alton's son, to go visit Alton at Studio One, and when we walked in there, Horace Andy was recording Skylarking, and Alton had jumped in and had some backing with vocals. So when we were there, they were actually recording the orange section, and Alton was throwing some vocals, and it was like, so that Horace and the song, Skylarking, but Alton wanted us to sing, so I was seeing all that, and to me, now I'm thinking, God, that was so special, but then it was just, we could look to Uncle Alton and a man I sing, and nothing. So we realized, in retrospect, we had a valuable experience, but then it was like just I just nothing.
Another day in Trenchtown.
Yeah, but Joe Higg don't cross the road, man, because Joe Higg was the master, you know. He was the maestro, he was the teacher for all of them. You know. I remember there's a man that many people don't remember, a man called Legon Cogill. Legon, the visual artist, amazing visual artist, painter par excellence. But he was also like a Bob Marley muse. He was Bob's inspiration. He wrote Cold Girl With My Bed Last Night for Bob Marley.
Okay.
So long before Bob and other people had tourists coming into Trenchtown, they're coming into what? To view artwork by Legon Cogill on 3rd Street. There were busloads of white folks coming to look at his artwork.
At his artwork?
At his house on 3rd Street. He was my father's neighbor on the side of 3rd Street there. We don't hear about, and I'm on a really now, Legon Cogill. He was that, what one of these men who was, if you talk to Legon, you get, cause he had these theories about life, and he would tell you about a network of lanes and call it under the road, and things that only him alone know about. He was amazing. People think he's crazy. I think he's a genius.
But and that's why he could bring the art life to the art to life.
Yes.
The way he did.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because what was inside of his mind, how he could picture it and say, this is it right here.
Yeah. So when Bob sang that song, that's what Legon Cogill lived. Cold Gone With My Bed Last Night and Rock With My Pillow Too. He was living that. And the say it and Bob sing it. And Bob Marley had a wonderful knack for taking words from the Bible, from the people, from elders like Marcus Garvey, from Haile Selassie, and made it into beautiful, timeless music. And that is just the essence of the Trenchtown man.
Trenchtown.
Yeah.
Crazy. Growing up, was Alton Ellis already a big star when you were a kid growing up at this time here?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It was one thing that gave me pride and gave me a sense of that butt, you know, we're poor butt, Uncle Alton. Because he won the first car in Trenchtown. Alton, that yellow Triumph. I remember the Triumph when Alton drive in, like, yeah, Uncle Alton, I come. You know, and it gave us, his children and his nephews and nieces, that sense that, you know, we were connected to something that was bigger than us and Trenchtown, and gave us a sense that we are poor, but there's hope. We are poor, but there's the kind of wealth that we have. Might not be in money yet. Alton always say his wealth is his health. You know, his wealth is just living and doing his work. And we saw that. So I was happy to enjoy that, and we saw him as somebody important. And because there were the times when those days it was just to hear yourself on the radio. They were hearing his songs on the radio, and that was a big thing. You see down the road there, and hear him on the radio, that was like a massive thing, like now being in a movie now.
Of course.
That was it. So, yeah, man, that was, he was special, and he was celebrated by the people. Much more then than perhaps now.
At that time there?
At that time, yeah, man, absolutely.
Because this would have been the rock steady era at that time there.
Yeah. That was the rock steady and reggae, like roots reggae era. Yeah, man.
Because I know at one point he was singing more like lovers rocks and stuff like that, and then he started to go into more social commentary after a while.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where, because my dad wrote this song called Brown Eyes, and he had written it for Alton. It was the time when Alton was now saying him now he listened to the love song now and more into more social justice themes. So he said, sing the song yourself, or you're a good singer. And my dad stayed with the song at the studio with the producer a whole day and got fed up and gave it to a group called the Blakka Brothers, who sang it. He never got any credit. And towards his death, he kept saying he wanted to do it again. And so we actually have his voice recording it, that one day we're going to release it.
Yeah.
Because he's very fond of that song that he wrote to some woman. With my mother, I'm not sure. You know, God, she never had brown eyes. You know? Brown eyes, you're disturbing my slumber. That was Daddy Leslie, man. But he, I think he died frustrated in that he never got a chance to be the singer that he thought he could have been. Because the family, and there was Hortense,
yes,
and there was Alton, but there was also Irving. Many people don't know Irving. Irving was as good a singer as Alton, or perhaps even better. But he became popular as a steel pan player on the North Coast, called 90, because he had 9 fingers, because the man chopped off his thumb. caught him with his woman and chop off his big finger. And you'd play the seal pan holding the stick between these two fingers there.
Yeah.
You know? But he was a master singer, and he would brag and say, "Me can't sing better than Alton." But Alton was the one who became famous.
He was the one that took it.
Yeah, but they were all good. Because they got the gene from my grandmother, Beatrice, who was the singer. R&B, she was always singing.
Yeah.
The image, and if you ask any of our grandkids, they'll tell that the image of R&B that they remember either sitting over a pan full of clothes, doing the laundry by hand, smoking a cigarette, but she would put the fire inside her mouth.
Yes.
And fire in her mouth and full of wash, and she would be singing some old hymns or some rhythm and blues, some blues song, and she was singing like the entire community in like her audience. The singing gene was there. But yeah, man, so Alton was loved and famous, but he was not the only one in the family, but he was the one who became famous, the one who really took it to some other level.
Because I think I was reading somewhere, I heard somewhere, his sister, Alton Ellis, she was one of the first females
To record a song in Jamaica.
song.
Yeah. So she's part of the history. And she never got the fame that he got, partly because of, things that were different then that wouldn't be such an issue now, like, getting pregnant. You can't go on tour and so on. And she was pregnant quite often. She had 10 kids in all.
10?
Yeah.
Because I know that they recorded some songs or a song together, Alton Ellis and Alton Ellis.
Yeah, they did a couple of songs together, yeah. Yeah, man.
Crazy right there. I'm going to bring you back to a name that you brought up earlier, Miss Welsh.
Yeah.
All right? If I remember good, Miss Welsh, she introduced you to Miss Lou?
Yes. Yeah, so Miss Welsh had us dancing for festival. I danced at the War Theatre stage and so on. And so what Miss Lou's program, Ring Ding, would give students a chance to perform who had done well in festival. So we had gotten medals in dance and we performed for Miss Lou on Ring Ding. So I got a chance to meet Miss Lou, dance for her, and be interviewed by her, thanks to Miss Welsh. Although later on I got to meet Miss Lou again as a School of Drama student, because Miss Lou came and did a master class in School of Drama. I was able to meet her as an older person, but I met her as a child to come on TV at a picnic from Trenchtown beside Miss Lou. Trust me, we just sorry that then the last those archival footage, because it was just to see myself then in a top hat and brown vest and so on, dancing with Miss Lou. But Miss Welsh did that. What's interesting, in Trenchtown Primary School, barefooted in grade 1. Grade 2, barefooted. Grade 3, Miss Welsh bought me a pair of shoes. Miss Welsh put me on stage to perform. Years later, I went back to that very same Trenchtown Primary School as the school board chairman. And I was the chairman who was able to appoint Miss Welsh as principal. So I became her boss. This woman who made me, literally made me.
She almost seems like she was your school mom.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. She was a mother, she was a guidance counselor, she was inspiration, and she saw me what I never saw. And I will honor her every single day of my life, because Miss Welsh, she made me happen. Literally, she made me happen on stage, on TV, in life. Yeah, man. Miss Phyllis Welsh.
Yeah. So the first time you went over and you were on Ring Ding and stuff, was that your first time on stage and dancing in drama at that time there?
First time. Because we danced at the War Theatre, won medal in the festival competition, and moved from that to TV. That was my first time being noticed nationally.
And do you remember how old you were when you were on TV that time there?
I would have been 9, 10.
So you've been appearing on TV since you were 9 or 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Never thought about that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Man.
That's wild.
That's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa. I never thought it like that. A long time I on TV. Oh, way before I tell Fancy Cat.
Yes, a long time. So there was no You said the archives got destroyed. Did you ever get to see any pictures or any videos or anything from that performance?
Years ago, we went to Miss Welsh's house, and we were able to look through her photo album and saw pictures of us dancing. Two dances, one dance called the Gentile Waltz, and one dance called, I can't remember the name of the dance, but we danced to a song by, a piece of music called Jingola Ba by West African drumming legend Babatunde Olatunji. Album called Drums of Passion. Because again, I saw it when I read the words.
Yeah.
So I remember the album then. But yeah, there's no record of that anywhere except in our minds. But thankfully the people who I danced with are still alive, my classmates from primary school. We all would say, yeah, remember, if we could just find those records, which in fact I must go and check the archive at the National Library. We may have stuff in newspapers, but none of us have any record of it in our own personal archive.
It's just sad. In your memory. But again, that's why I do stuff like this and have these conversations. So even if we don't have the original when you did it, at least we're capturing your memory now, and we'll have this for as long as we could have.
Absolutely. And while I put a big value on words, the written words, I understand that as an African people, we have a very rich oral history. And we just don't have to keep on telling our stories. It's no longer sitting down in a circle and in the village and talking it. We can do it like this because someone will record it, and it then becomes part of the oral archive that generations to come will remember. Hey, remember Two Line Music? Must interview Blakka and we say X, Y, Z, and it's gonna become part of the oral history. So what you're doing here, really and truly, is helping to document history. So give thanks for that.
Thank you. I mean, understand. So then now you perform for Miss Lou, Miss Welsh. She's taking care of you on the school side and stuff like that now. But you're in Trenchtown. Trenchtown is a rough, tough neighborhood. But from what I understand, when you looking to get into like theater and the arts and stuff like that was almost looked down upon coming from the ghetto and the garrison at that time.
Yeah.
You almost feel you're kind of soft or you're kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah.
How did you decide to get into the arts but still live in Trenchtown? Did you have to hide and go do it and come back? Or what was it like that time there?
Well, by the time I left Trenchtown, I was already a teenager. When I left, it was New Year's Day, 76, the year when I turned 16. And that's a very important year in a young man's life. You're becoming, at the age of consent. So I was now defining myself. So it wasn't such a difficult thing to determine that this is what I want to do with me and things. So it was, you never had to hide. You just know that this is your thing. But I knew that I was different. So my brother IT had this idea called Ghetto Misfit, where he suggests that some of us don't fit in the ghetto mold because ghetto youth supposed to bad, supposed to I'm a bad man, and we were never like that, And in a way, in which we never apologize for not being that. We just not into that. So we never. The way in which you'd mark your status by something like you got jail already, or you run from police already, and things. And I was like, I never want to do those things, and we never need to do those things to validate ourselves as a transgender youth. We just Becca picked me and Becca raised me, and if Becca said, hey, we run, and we were okay with that, and we never felt we need to apologize. We just not like them youth there, because we saw where they went. The young men who set our house on fire, paid by politicians, they all died pretty young. And the young men who bragged about, my God, jail already, and run from police, and me have a gun, they all died. So
That's why.
it was clear that it need to be like that. We just choose our part and go along our part.
Yeah. At that time there, talking about high school time, I know you went to Excelsior.
Yeah.
All right. What was that like now, coming from Trenchtown going to Excelsior?
Oh my God. That was, my God, it's amazing how things turn out. Because going to Excelsior, I realized for the first time, I learned that I was poor. Before that, you just noted that, yeah. But because I was now comparing myself with other young people who come from uptown, and so I was taking the bus. There were times when I walked from Trenchtown to Excelsior and walked back. I'd walk from Excelsior to Trenchtown, up Mountain View Avenue to National Stadium, down Otterburn Drive to Crossroads, down Behind Carib to Behind Carib, down to the Trenchtown, right? And I realized that I was poor, that I was different, because some youth wear nice shoes come school, you know. Some youth wear Clarks and Bally and Travel Fox and me I wear anti-boyfriend hand me down old man shoes, you know. You know, and that's where comedy became a refuge, because I would tell my stories about what auntie did last night. I want to beat you up last night. I want to cuss and go on bad last night. And they would, my classmates would just fall down dying with laughter, because they thought I'd making up these stories. Yeah. I was sharing my life with them. And I discovered then that this was therapy. You know, I could share my real life stories and make people laugh, and that's how I began to discover this thing called stand-up comedy. We had a mango tree at Excelsior. We would just sit on a mango tree and just talk things. Why go on a Trenchtown? And so my Trenchtown ghetto experience gave me, you know, the ammunition, the material with which I could then share comedy, and that began the comedy route.
Mm-hmm. Because you said comedy was therapy. It was therapy for you because of what you're going through, and therapy for the people because they're laughing.
Absolutely.
So it's a win-win.
Win-win.
Yeah.
Win-win.
So when did your name go from Keith to Blakka?
Trenchtown Primary. From grade 3, Trenchtown Primary. Miss Wells class, we learned about adjectives and comparatives and, you know, big, bigger, biggest. Adjective, comparative, superlative, you know. And Miss Wells class, look around the room for some examples. One boy said, Miss, we Blakka in Blakka. That became my name. I embraced it. You know, my name was Blackest. So, you know, I live with it. But it was meant to be a put down, you know. We Blakka, you Blakka. But I embraced it. And I learned that we can do that. We can embrace what's meant to be a put down and elevate it to a title.
Because you own it.
Yeah. So when I went to high school, I could have left Blakka behind, you know. But I tell them, I'm in Blakka. So I went to Excelsior and introduced myself as Blakka. Keith was not a pet name. Everybody a pet name because they must know, everybody know their right name because they can't harm you. So everybody a pet name. And Keith was a pet name. But I became Blakka because I chose to say, hello, I am Owen Ellis and I'm called Blakka. And I became Blakka at Excelsior. Later on in life now, I decided that, you know what happened? I'm going to start giving Blakka less prominent as a name, because as I embrace my 60-year-old self, I'm like, Blakka does sound juvenile sometimes, you know?
But why do you think you look so young to this day? Because of you said if Blakka sounds juvenile, that kept you frozen for so long. That's why you still look so young. So you can't get rid of Blakka, boss.
I'm a 60-year-old grandfather.
It does not matter.
I have a teenage granddaughter who turned 18.
It does not matter. This is what, when the person said Blakka and you accept it, it's like it froze you in time. And he left you there. You see the day you decide, okay, no more Blakka, you're going to get all the next day, you know, boss.
I am Mr. Ellis, Mr. Owen Ellis, JP, no Blakka.
You're going to, tomorrow, now that you said here, tomorrow, you're going to go home and get over tomorrow.
You see the gray hair here, bro? But interesting, but Blakka has just been, all my friends call me Blakka, and I'm okay with it. But sometimes I'm thinking, yeah. I'm too old for I call myself Blakka now.
It's solidified. You can't. There's nothing you could possibly do to change that. That's solidified in history, boss.
But I sometimes see young people struggle because you know the ones who grew up right want to have a mark of respect. They them with Mr. Blakka or Sir Blakka or Sir Black, and I see them struggling to add some respect to Blakka. Because I think just say Blakka might just make them seem rude. And I'm like, you know. For their sake, I'm like, oh, you can call me Mr. Ellis, but if you want to be Blakka, because to me, those things don't matter. I don't have to get title and sir and so on to feel respect. Respect is obvious when it's intended.
Yeah.
So you can call somebody sir and God and still disrespect them.
You understand?
And you can hear the tone of disrespect. So,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, and this sir mean everything but sir. You know?
Yeah. So in high school, now, is this where you started to go more into drama because you discovered comedy.
Yeah.
So did you get into drama in high school and
Yeah.
try to do stand-up comedy and stuff in high school too?
Yeah, man. High school, I was Excelsior had a very powerful performing arts program. Bless that school, Mr. Wesley Powell, the founder. We had 3 drama sheds at Excelsior. We had 3 teaching of drama in high school at Excelsior. And we had a thing, inter-house competitions, inter-house singing, dancing. I mean, singing, you have categories. You had folk, pop, Negro spiritual. You had, and you were competing in those things. So when some schools were putting all the value on sports, Excelsior was sports and arts. So we were singing, dancing, and so on. And that gave me a space. I was president of the drama club. I was performing in every year in inter-house competitions, singing, dancing. Even when I think I can't sing, I sing. I might have to win the points, you know. And then you had people at Excelsior. Excelsior had a very rich history in music, So in my batch at high school, we had Cleveland Brownie from Celia and Clevie.
Okay.
Right? And Cleveland Brownie was a man is singing a man. So to be a dancer, singer, and so I became part of that fraternity. And that's where we school entered the festival. I got the best actor award, and I thought, hey, acting sound like my kind of thing. And I thought I went from high school to school of drama.
That's where you went. So then did you meet Bello this time before you went to School of Drama or after? Where did you guys connect?
During high school, I was at Excelsior. He was at Camperdown. So we met as the rivals in the School of the Drama Festival. He was Camperdown's star actor.
Yeah.
And he was an actor singer par excellence. And so he won Best Actor Award 76, and I won Best Actor Award 77. And we went to School of Drama 78. So we met
where you guys met.
Yeah, man. And I respect Bello as an actor. He's without doubt the best actor in his generation was, because he's no longer with us. But Bello was us. He take any role and he owned it. Owned that. When he act a role, he owned a role. He was amazing. And we have some good actors in Jamaica. I mean, Paul Campbell is just a master. Bello. But people like Paul Campbell get typecast in playing certain badman role. Bello could move from badman to police to clown to old man to young boy with ease. And each of them would be believable. Totally believable. Bello is a master, man.
So you would say even when you guys are in School of Drama, his thing was more acting and your thing was more comedy at that time there?
You don't know it wasn't comedy. Interesting, because by the time I got to School of Drama, I was no longer such a clown around, laugh around kind of a person. By the time, I began to call myself Blakka Tafari.
Because you had dreads at that time.
Yeah.
Rastafari.
Yeah. I was into dub poetry. I was into chanting down Babylon. I was into, social justice advocacy. I wasn't into comedy at that time. I kind of given the comedy a break, and into more just discovering. I was walking, around with a bar across my shoulder with a chalice in there. I was that guy, with that fire burn on everything. Right out, lightning, And then when we ended our course of study at School of Drama, Bello and I were now performing together, singing and poetry. He would sing some deep, powerful songs, and I would do some chant, some hardcore poetry. And we're doing that. That was our thing, that Bello and Blakka as singer, poet.
Okay, so that's how the duo had started out.
Yeah.
As a singer and a poet.
Yeah.
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 Nothing to do with comedy.
Nothing to do with comedy.
Yeah.
We're doing a show in 1985 now. It was the launch of an event called Caribbean Popular Theatre Exchange. And we were asked to do a performance. And we were rehearsing. He had a song called We Don't Need No More War. I had a poem called The Really Raw Reality. And we're rehearsing it now for that show. And Anna Ford Smith, who taught us acting, walked in to watch the rehearsal. We did our thing. And Anna, what do you think? And she said, guys, I think it's boring. And we were like, struck. She said, yes. Because the event that we're performing on had Dennis Scott and Lana Goodison reading poetry. She said the event already have enough deep stuff. Do something funny for a change, then, guys. And we thought, okay, so we planned performance and created a little funny skit called What is Culture? That basically mock people's idea of what culture mean. And we began, Kuya, both here, this a Bello, this a Blakka, and this a culture. We are going to take a Blakka. And that became the comedy duo. We did that performance and it mashed down the place. And we were going to do it again and again. And that became the comedy duo. 85.
Just because of somebody saying that this is boring.
Yeah.
Let's just do something else.
Yes. Trust me. So, Jamaican, Terry Carroll Reid had this wonderful idea called rejection, is redirection. And that's what happened to us. Because Anna Ford Smith, with a gentle rebuke, rejected our song poem and directed us towards doing something funny. And that became a legendary comedic act called Bello and Blakka.
And did you guys, so then now you did the performance, mash up the place and everything. So did you think you're going to go back to being a more Rasta singing the cultural tune? Are you seeing that, hey, this is something that could work and we're going to go with this?
It took on its own life because what happened was that now we did that performance and it ended with, so we began with the song and we did a kind of a takeoff and recently for talking about what culture means. We look at we mark the idea of people who think culture means walk barefoot, wear with a shiki and so on. And we ended up with that thing where we say, culture must be ballet. And we dance and then I would jump and Bello caught me in his hands. And that picture of me in his hands ended up on a Gleaner front page. Hilarious. And we were out to repeat it at a lunch or a concert at Institute of Jamaica like the following week. Then someone said, do it again in front of the barbecue somewhere. So that performance, we kept doing it all of 85. And then we got to request about comedy shows. And we thought, okay, let's make some more comedy material. Yeah. And that became the comedy act.
And this was because at this time, were you guys working any jobs outside of this, or this was how you were making your money?
We were teaching part-time at the time, teaching at high schools.
Also, from back then, you were teaching?
Yeah, man. Because we graduated 81 from School of Drama and we were doing part-time teaching and act. Bello was acting and teaching, and I was teaching and doing some poetry. And so between 85 and 95, we were the comedy act in Jamaica, doing all the lunch hour concerts, all the barbecue events, all the National Labor Day concerts. There was Bello and Blakka between 85 and 95. Yeah. And in between that time, now in 92, Oliver Samuel recommended us to do this gig in London.
Blouse and Skirts. Listen.
92.
Listen.
And then we went to tour. We toured London, Leicester, Sheffield, Nottingham, Birmingham, doing Bello and Blakka.
Because at that time, I could see that you had from the same Blouse and Skirts, because when I was doing the research, putting it together, my wife, she doesn't really know. I've had about 400 guests, right? She's not really into it. She's Jamaican. She's from Chilani. She's not really into it. You see, when I pulled up Blouse and Skirts and I played it, she was singing that word for word. Word for word, boss. Word for word. She said, yeah, this used to come on TV either every Saturday or something. This show used to come on TV.
Yeah, Blouse and Skirts.
Yes, boss.
And we have to again say, and I put a big value on acknowledging and honoring those who open doors. And Oliver Samuel's open doors. Because that guy who booked us to London had no idea who we were. He was just simply acting on Oliver's recommendation.
Okay, so Oliver had recommended, say, hey,
you must book these guys. And we went to London, and this guy was like, who are you guys anyway? Come, Oliver said. So and when we did the show, they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And based on that, we went to do our own show the following year.
Like
we were
that.
on tour. So Oliver Samuel, respect and honor, man. You open doors to other people.
How did you even connect with Oliver Samuels?
I met him in pantomime. We were acting in pantomime together. Yes. Yeah. And he has an eye for talent, and he's only looking for ways to help people to get into other spaces. And I have to really honor him for that. But yeah, man, Oliver Samuel. Because pantomime was also a marker. In the same way how God jail and from police market a bad man in ghetto. And then actor in Jamaica, you have to do a pantomime to say that you're now officially an actor. And so we had to do a panto. So we did panto, and Bello and I did panto together. And Oliver saw us then and said, yeah man, no boy, we don't have talent. Me go help you. And he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then the first big thing that he actually got you guys on would have been the Blouse and Skirts.
Yeah, yeah. London, 92.
Was that your first time traveling outside of Jamaica to perform?
No, we performed together for the first time in '81 outside Jamaica in Barbados for Carfesta. We went as drama school students to perform at Carfesta '81. First time with a passport, first time on a plane, '81.
What was that reception like? Because remember now, because what I find with being an actor opposed to being a musician, music is more universal.
Yeah.
Acting, telling jokes and stuff, it's a little bit more niche, and certain people would really understand and get it. What was the reception like the first time, especially going to Barbados now?
It was interesting because it was a Caribbean festival. So we were among the rest of the Caribbean. And we're doing a play we did two plays, Dog and Shepherd. Dog by Dennis Scott, Shepherd by Royal Gibbons. And these are two icons in Caribbean theatre. But Dennis Scott's writing is very cryptic and esoteric and deep, and you have to pretend to be bright pretend to understand it if you want to appear bright.
Yeah.
Because it's very, Dennis Scott is a brilliant man. And we were doing Dennis Scott's Dog, which is a play that even though I've done the play a couple of times, I'm still understanding it. Very difficult work. And we're doing that. So we had performances and workshops and discussions, and so we were part of a Caribbean, what I would say, the Caribbean attempt to evolve its own vocabulary in theatre. Because, we inherit the colonial, the European, and the North American idea of what a play is supposed to be like. And Dennis Scott was shifting the paradigm and stepping outside the box with plays like Dog. And we were in that. So we were part of a groundbreaking, trending, creating new ways of doing theatre in the Caribbean. So that, for me, that was a big part of that trip. I was a part of something that was bigger, special, and different, and innovative.
Yeah. Okay, so it made sense and it connected at that time there.
Totally.
Definitely. Blouse and Skirts went and mash up London. How many shows was Blouse and Skirts one show, or was it several shows you guys did?
It was a show recorded live for Channel 4 for TV, and it was aired on Channel 4 a couple of times, and then based on that now we did some live shows around London, Leicester, Sheffield, Nottingham, Birmingham, performing live. And it's interesting because we were the main act, and the opening act was a woman, Janet Kay, who's a big singer. Janet Kay, go check her. Janet Kay, a big singer in London. Right? She had a massive duo with Dennis Brown. The closer I get to you. Janet Kay is reggae royalty in London. She was the opening act for 92, and I'm like, hey, with it big man, because Janet Kay open for me.
Yeah.
Janet Kay is massive. She is reggae royalty.
And she's opening
for Bello Blakka.
Yeah. So you're doing your stuff now. Were you still a Rasta at this time here now, or you had changed when you really, by Blouse and Skirts it came around?
By the time I changed, I cut my locks 1982, 83, thereabouts. After I got married. I got married by locks. I got my locks, I think 83. I got my locks 83. And by then, I had evolved beyond Rasta theology. No, I'm not going to put it up pretty top. I had evolved beyond that. My understanding of the doctrine had become challenged by my own thoughts and questions and so on. I still have a massive respect for Rastafari as a very appropriate and a very valid expression of Judeo-Christianity for people of African descent. But it's not where I lay my heart and my it's not the cross that I carry. Third, now I'm a devout Christian. And I don't apologize for that. Even though in a time when Christianity is about to be a bad thing for some people. It's not for me, Christianity is the way of life. But I had begun by then to evolve beyond the Rastafarian doctrine. And I challenged some of my Rastafarian friends about it constantly. I tell them that Selassie is really a Christian. And they want to argue me about it, but I'm here for them. And therefore they're going to tell me that, Christianity, white man religion? No. Because the oldest Christian nation is Ethiopia, who was never colonized by the white man. The Christianity has been in Africa before the white men came. you know. And the red, gold, and green, the green, natural wealth. The gold, mineral wealth. The red, the church triumph, and the white, the blood of Christ. So, you know, Rasta and Christianity, as a friend of mine say, Rasta and Christian are cousin. Rasta from London said that, and I big him up for that.
Yeah. You could definitely see that because, again, I've never seen pictures with your locks long. It was more like in the cam and stuff like
Yeah,
so then you could see that you weren't a Ras for a long time.
No.
But that's what was, especially coming from Trenchtown.
Yeah.
That was almost like the in thing at that time there.
It was.
A lot of people are Ras. A lot of the people that founded Rastafari was in Trenchtown and those type of stuff.
Yeah, man. Mortimer Planner on 5th Street was the Rasta enclave, was the Rasta school for many people. And Mortimer Planner was the man who got to meet the emperor personally. And it was the person who taught many Rastafarians how to pray, how to understand Ethiopia and so on. So, and to come back to Trenchtown, that's why Trenchtown is so important for me. It's the birthplace of reggae. It's the nurturing place for Rastafari. It's the home of so many great icons. It is a special space, and it's Kingston 12. It's not ordinary. My current doctoral work is around framing Trenchtown as a site of exile, exodus, and pilgrimage. Special place, man.
Yeah. Trenchtown, Mr. Trenchtown.
Trust me.
Blouse Skirts is all tearing down the place now. That was actually, it came, as you said, it was taped for Channel 4, but it actually came out on VHS those times. So
Yeah.
circulating
All
the
around
community,
London.
all
Yeah, man.
Stuff. So what was the next move for Bello and Blakka after this here now?
After Blouse Skirts, which was 92, we did a couple more shows. We did North America. We did every city we did the Apollo in New York. We did Acne Empire in London. We did Atlanta. We did Florida. And then Bello took a break around 96, 97, thereabouts. And then we came back together in 98. Bello, myself, Jordan Hutchison, and Tony Paleface Hendricks.
Smile Jamaica.
Laugh Jamaica.
Laugh Jamaica, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that took it another level.
Accelerate.
Yeah.
Okay, because even that was the first time I remember seeing Fancy Cat. I don't remember seeing IT, but I remember seeing Fancy Cat in Man Bad
Man,
Yes. Was IT in that video too?
Yeah, man. I was there somewhere. Yeah.
He was in there.
Yeah.
But it's just, Fancy Cat has such a distinct look. As soon as you see, man, that's Fancy Cat, man.
Yeah. Laugh Jamaica was groundbreaking again. Because Laugh Jamaica, up to that point, up to when we did Laugh Jamaica, actors were employees. Producers got together, got the playwright, very often the playwright would himself the producer, rent the theater, employ a director, pay the actors to do a play. When Laugh Jamaica happened, with the very, very first time in the history of Jamaica, the actors owned the content. We owned the product. We employed the director. That never happened before. We wrote the script. Yeah. We employed the director. We ran the theater. We paid ourselves. We put on Laugh Jamaica as actors who owned the content. We paid ourselves. At that time, bro, you act in a play, may I talk real facts now. Act in a play, pantomime, you get 800 per show if you're a certain level actor. The name brand actor might get 1200 per show, and that was standard pay. We did Laugh Jamaica, we paid ourselves $5,000 per show. We were doing 9 shows a week, 7 days a week, and 2 on Sunday. So 5, 9, 45, we were paying $45,000 per week. It was unheard of. It was unheard of. Yeah. And Laugh Jamaica, people were turning back. We had a full house every night, 9 shows a week. Laugh Jamaica broke every record.
That was huge because my perception I thought Laugh Jamaica was directly just made for TV or made for VHS. I didn't realize
that was the back end. No, the back end. We were at Center Stage Theatre, 9 shows a week. And then when the run ended, they went to Little Theatre. Then we went on tour, but we did London, we did Florida, and then we went back to Jamaica and recorded it with a live audience. and put that on VHS.
Okay, so then, as you said, that was like the last of it after you done.
Yeah,
did
that was the back
everything else.
end.
And it was so popular.
And it still is. Now, if you give it 10, no, it again. We're like, no, that can't be touched again. That was then, and that's done.
And what made you guys even decide to, as you said, because nobody's really done it, as actors come together and put this together, what made you guys decide to, you know what, I have an idea, let's put this together?
I think it was Tony and Joan first mooted the idea and said, let's do this now. And we did some talking and we did some thinking and we thought, okay, will it work? Yeah, let's try this. And we sat together, put the material together. Most of the writing was done by Tony and Joan. Bello and I did a little bit of it. And interestingly, because the piece that I wrote became when I wrote Mona Visa, we said this have to end the first half. This cannot go earlier this show. After this, the show almost done. And we did it, the live show. Interestingly, and people have talked about how Jamaican artists can be clingy and fighty and for themselves. Live Jamaica was supported by everybody. The fraternity came to watch the show. Everybody who was in theater said, hey guys, this thing good. Dila Harris will tell you, Dila Harris said, she said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And she's now doing great stuff. So we were able to inspire others. We were encouraged by our fraternity. And we did a show that made money. We made good money. And we broke records with Live Jamaica.
Yeah.
And it's still breaking records. I was telling that Bella gone. Trust me.
And you guys never wanted to do a sequel, a follow-up, or like, okay, this was good, and okay, we're going to leave it at this.
We talk about it. We said, nah, we don't want to touch it. We don't want to do it. If we set by that show, that's a standard. We had to get really up there or not. And we decided, nah, we've been there, done that, print the t-shirt, it's on VHS, it's on DVD,
yes.
It's on t-shirts, it's on flyers, it's history, let's move on.
Yeah. Wow, no, that classic, as I said, Man and Bad Man, that was a thing there. That's where, because you guys always had like music, in the comedy, and Accelerate. Those are two for sure. I remember when Paleface, Tony Hendrix was really teaching you how to drive, I think it was a school bus or something.
Yeah.
And your answer was always Accelerate.
Live Jamaica was groundbreaking. I was it in London. It will ruffle some feathers. The ultra black activists thought, or we treated the piece that Jonah Jackson did called Rapunzel. They said, what did I say?
Yeah.
And they thought it was, we went over the line a bit with talking about black hair and so on. But I can't please everybody.
Yeah.
I've learned that in this kind of work, you're going to offend somebody at some point. Once it's not intentional, you have to just move on.
You understand. And I think around that same time, you guys did Laugh Jamaica, tearing down the place. Another big thing for you this time was Dancehall Queen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's an interesting story. Let me tell you about Dancehall Queen now. And Dancehall Queen and another TV ad that I did for, I think, a Fiat Doubler international ad are testaments to how you can't challenge destiny. Something we're not meant to be. I never intended to be in Dancehall Queen. Never auditioned. Didn't plan to.
Yeah.
Never auditioned. We were working at a time with some young people with a project called Era Youth Crew. And some of them wanted to be in the movie. So I took them to the audition. I took some kids in my car to the audition, wait on them, took them back to the rehearsal. Took some more, and we were just doing that. And I took the last set now, they were like, shy, sir, we need to go, sir, we must go, man. Sir, I said, okay, let me walk them inside, introduce them. When I walked in there now, I saw Rick Elgood, who said, hey, I know you. I saw you in London. You're that comedian guy. You were in Laugh Jamaica. You were in London. You were with Oliver. I want you in this movie. And Rick Elgood had them write a scene in Dancehall Queen just to put me in the movie.
Because you could see in that part there, that was where Olivine nearly licked you off the bike.
Yeah. And
In
then
the parking lot there.
Yeah, and then she asked me if I know anybody who can do this, brother, Keith Fair. And I said, yes, I know somebody. It wasn't planned. If you look at the movie, they could take those two scenes out, and the movie still, the story wasn't changed. Wasn't inserted to put me in the movie. thank Rick Elgood who saw me and thought I want you in this movie because it wasn't the plan. I never planned to be in Dancehall Queen.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
that
a
little
classic.
cameo became as a classic. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
life is weird. Life is weird.
But you just never know, especially as you said, you were bringing kids.
Yeah,
They were afraid to go in. So you just, okay, come, I'll bring you in without no intention of anything.
no,
Yeah.
that was a pure destiny,
Yeah.
serendipity. Trust
That's
me.
wild. Another one, you were in another movie. This was with some big people in it. Eugene Levy, Jimmy Cliff, a couple more people.
Club Paradise.
Club Paradise.
Club
boss.
Paradise, yeah.
All right. But this one came before Dancehall Queen. and
Yeah,
stuff like
long
that.
before Dancehall Queen, yeah.
Talk to me about that one. There.
Yeah, that one. No, I think. How did I get into that movie? I have no idea. I remember. I have no idea.
Robin Williams is in that.
Robin Williams,
Yes.
Peter O'Toole, Jimmy Cliff. I was still at school of drama at the time. I think so. Because they just came and said they wanted some people to play soldiers. So I was part of Gandhi's army. I don't remember that because it's so funny. Wow, you did the research, but I forgot about that movie, Club Paradise, shot in Portland. Had a very interesting experience on that movie, though, you see? Again, live. So we were staying at a hotel, all the cast, and we were taken by a bus to the set at a beach. And in the boat that I was on was a bunch of guys who were there as Jimmy Cliff's entourage. Jimmy Cliff's cook, who I knew from Trenchtown, Vivian Hendricks, I remember him. Jimmy Cliff cook, Vivian. And the band members for Jimmy Cliff were on the bus going to the set. And bus full of Rasta man, weed and smoke. Chalice a smoke. Police stopped the bus. And a man threw the coach there, so threw the chalice hose there, so, and man ended up on my seat. And the police took off 3 of us off the bus. Me and a youth named Chris Meredith, who was bassman for Jamaica at the time. And I think the drummer, the bassman and me, because they found Pete at the chalice beside us. And we were arrested for possession of a chillum pipe. Me never smoke, but me get arrested. The manager came now from Jimmy Cliff, manager, the lawyer. I said, okay, just plead guilty, we pay the fine and move on, because we have a movie to shoot. And they were like, no, I'm not plead guilty. I said, well, if you don't plead guilty, it is Portland, you're gonna have to detain you till the court trial. Because the policeman wanted to do our job, we were taking the court same time. And they said, we plead guilty, we pay the fine and move on. I said, I'm not plead guilty. Because first of all, I can't jointly put it up to the pipe. 2 men can't jointly put the pipe. The pipe, a 1-man pipe. So I'm not plead guilty. They tell you on your own. So I pleaded not guilty. And the judge said, why? I said, well, we're being charged jointly for owning a chillum pipe. We can't jointly own a pipe, a 1-man pipe. If him say a film one, therefore not my one. The judge said, okay, good point, you're free to go. And I, thank God. I would have had a criminal record then.
For something that you had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Your life is so interesting. It's just a lot of stuff that just seem to happen.
Yeah, destiny. I cannot not accept that my life was destined to be where it is, and even if I didn't do anything about it, life just seemed to happen. So many things happened. But when Anna said that you guys are boring, try something else, and we became comedians like that. I mean, things just happen like that. It's unexplainable.
Yeah.
How life just twist and turn and make things happen. And here I am. Yeah.
It's wild. Another thing, we brought up his name earlier, Fancy Cat. I know you're instrumental in putting, well, not even because they were, you know what? Explain the story how you were instrumental in IT and Fancy Cat's emergence.
Okay. So IT is my younger brother, right? And IT, and we're separated by 9 years, right? Almost 10 years, in fact, it's December and April. So when I started doing the comedy routine, the comedy set around Jamaica, they would come with me to a show, like part of my entourage, so to speak. And at the time, IT and Fancy Cat were experimenting with being a DJ duo. They had this song called Girl You Pass, they look good exam, if you get a ticket and I get the wrong bang, you pass, they look good exam, ticky. That was their one tune, And I was doing a show in that same 92 before we went to London, me and Bello. I was doing a solo show at a place called the Tashi Hotel up Charter Road. And I encouraged the producer to give them a chance to open at the DJ duo, IT and Fancy Cat. And they did the opening act. They were pretty interesting, the audience, and enjoyed the music. And they did it again the following week. And then Claudia Paya to what the promoter said, you gonna no more material. And they tried something different. Yeah. And then, but they were still just doing DJ duo stuff.
So they didn't come in as comedians, actors, or anything. This was as musical duo.
They were a musical duo. And then a friend of mine at the time who was the manager who was doing PR for Courts said to me, we need 2 guys to do some crowd interaction stuff for Courts. But we want 2 new faces. We don't want you and Bello. We want somebody like you and Bello style, but different. And I got together 3 different duos to audition, including IT and Fancy Cat, for Courts. It was at my office on Oxford Road. And never forget, the guy was Brian Schmidt from working for Courts. And I got them to audition, and they got the job and started doing this thing. They were called the Courts Clowns. And that became what became now the comedy duo called IT and Fancy Cat.
Just out of, again, just like yourself, you started off as dub poet and stuff like that. It was never supposed to be comedy, just like IT and Fancy Cat. It was not supposed to be comedy.
No, they were musicians. They were DJ. They were singing rap DJ music. Yeah.
Did you help them with any of their material in the early part of their career?
Yeah, man. When I started doing straight stand-up now, I would. In fact, I did a comedy show in Antigua 1 year. And the following year, the promoter asked me to come back and do the show. I said, I want to give these 2 guys a chance on the show. And them name IT and Fancy Cat. He said, boy, I'm not going to pay them. I said, fly them up. If you can buy their tickets, I'll pay them. And he did that. He put them up, he fly them up, and I paid them from mine. Because I was getting a decent pay. And I paid them. And the following year, he booked them again and didn't book me. Because they mashed down the place. At that time, they were simply rehashing Bello and Blakka content in their own way. For their first year or 2 of performance, they were simply a different version of Bello and Blakka. They would take our stuff and twist it around. Me and Bello try to argue who can lyrics after all the best. They'd use that as their thing.
That was their standard. So, okay, let's do this, figure out what works, and then we could move forward with our own.
That was it. And that became IT and Fancy Cat.
Because I remember even their show, IT and Fancy Cat show, there was one show in particular that killed me, was called Don't Say a Word.
Don't Say a Word. But can I tell you, that Don't Say a Word, that story that my father told us, My dad gave us this joke about a man who asked question, and the man asked no answer because he don't want the man think he mock him. Because our father had a severe stutter. So he was always giving us Tamaman jokes. And that was it. And we did it, and boom, it blew up.
Listen, when I see that, I laugh. You know what I mean?
But I did a Fancy Cat show. I did much of the writing for I did a Fancy Cat show. I was the principal writer. And I did a few of the cameo appearances and so on. But IT and Fancy Cat also broke records. You know what I mean, Oliver is Jamaica's comedy king. Nobody can challenge that. But Oliver last series did 1 season on TVJ. IT and Fancy Cat did 10 seasons, 10 years on TV. That had never happened before. A local comedy show that ran in Jamaica for 10 years on national TV.
I didn't realize it was that long, boss.
10 years.
Yeah.
Nobody else have done that ever in Jamaica.
And at this time, I guess you were managing them at this time here too?
Yeah.
So they're doing the shows, they're doing stand-up, they're doing everything at this time here now.
Yeah. Yeah. We're making history, bro.
Yeah.
We're making history.
That's crazy. Again, for something that didn't start out that way. It started out as we're DJs, but again, you could see they incorporate a lot of the music into their comedy
Absolutely.
also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, again, it's trusting the process and believing in yourself. When we decided to do the Item Fantasy Show, the TV show, we shot the pilot and we rented the cinema up at Sovereign and we did a launch. We launched the idea. Who does that? We don't have no booking for TV. We don't have any sponsor.
Yeah.
We launched the idea. And we work and audience said, great. And by doing that, people bought into it. And for 10 years, it was sponsored. We switched from digital to flow. But we only had KFC there. We only had courts there. But it was sponsored for 10 years. History making.
That's wild. And do you notice that you brought it up earlier that Oliver was the one that said, hey, bring these guys here. And then that's how you got your break out in London and stuff. And then you turned around and did the same thing.
Yeah.
You became the Oliver.
Yeah.
And gave them their shot.
Yeah. And they've been able to do that for other people as well. And that is how the cycle should really work.
You pay it forward.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely,
I mean?
absolutely. Every generation must can open the door for another generation. If we can't do that, then we're going to get stuck in a static state where nobody does anything for anybody and nobody's moving. You have to move forward because at some point, we all grow old, we all age, and you have to think about what's happening for the next generation. Who's coming next? Punching that little fella. Who's coming next? What can you do? Yeah.
You have to think here. I remember another one of your famous, this is one you see all over the place. This is between poetry and comedy. The Gate Man.
The Gate Man. Hey, that for me is, it's interesting because I write a lot of poetry. And the poems that I write that I put value on because I'm a Dennis Scott disciple. And I want to use words in a way that Dennis Scott had a way with words that him just, his famous poem Uncle Time is an old man, all the language put by the sea. Dennis Scott had a way to use words in a way that channel history and create imagery. And I want to do that too, So with Gate Man, I was having fun commenting on what I see as a Jamaican phenomenon where people who have no power in their life and get little bit of power, or them abuse the power. And so that was my commentary on them people. Me never expect it to be so popular. Up to this day, I'm like, what happened? Because what a popular do I believe? Everybody can relate to that person. That man who nobody wants to say him have the power now, him go wield the power. It never died. I have stopped doing it now because it's now owned by the community. Every year, in our national festival competition, some young person perform that poem per festival.
I did see that. I did.
Yeah. Every year I'm seeing it, I'm like, wow, it's now. I won a medal for a festival doing a Miss Lou poem. And Kita now doing my poem winning medal. I'm like, wow, I can die go to heaven now. I'm done, I'm good. I've done my work.
It's a feel that people remember. A lot of these thoughts that come out of your mind, you put to paper, and to see people's reaction from thoughts that came out of my mind,
Yeah. It's one of the most fulfilling things I have experienced in my life. And I've watched my kids being born. I've watched my kids grow up. I've seen my students excel and become great. I've seen my former students become, managers and directors and working beyond what I could ever do. And I'm like, wow, awesome. But the feel of seeing your work, hearing your work come back at you from other voices all over the world, nothing beat that, bro. Nothing,
Again, because it's a thought that was in your mind. You just happened to put in. 'Cause remember, you wrote down this. I know you wrote 2 books, 2 poetry books, I think it was.
Yeah.
These thoughts you put down, say it was, let's just take a guesstimate. Say it was 100 poems you put down in both books. I can almost guarantee there's probably another 200 that was in your mind
Absolutely.
that you never wrote down.
Yeah, absolutely. And some I wrote and rejected. Yeah. To the seat come alive like that, man, there is just, it's awesome. It's just, it's fulfilling and it's humbling as well. And it tells me that I cannot take it for granted. One thing that I haven't mentioned, a thing that many people don't even know, is that I performed on Reggae Sunsplash and toured Europe as a backing vocalist and percussionist with Oko Onura.
Okay, because I knew about the Sunsplash, but I didn't know you actually toured also.
Yeah, man. We did the Jazz on France Festival in Angoulême in France and at the Mutualité in Paris with Oko. Oko is the founding father of Jamaican dub poetry, and I was in his band, which for me again is a part of history that I think is very, very important.
Listen, it's like you've lived
So
4
many
or
lives.
5 different lives. Because remember, you toured as the backup.
Yeah.
You toured as a duo.
Yeah.
You toured as yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, how many this is one man gonna do what?
Hey, that's why I've been trying for the last several years to retire from doing stand-up comedy, from doing performances, and it's not because I think I am at a certain height or a level, just that I'm kind of like tired. I'm not tired physically, but tired of just doing the stuff, and also because I want to make space to do other stuff. I want to make more space to serve country and community. I am on several boards. I am on Trenchtown Primary School Board of Management. I am founder for the Blakka Foundation. I am now chairman for the Trenchtown Development Association that runs the Trenchtown Culture Yard. I am member of the board for the Trenchtown Reading Center. I'm trying to create a Trenchtown marching band, and my brother and I are trying to form a Trenchtown steel pan. I want to create for young people in Trenchtown opportunity that they can find their way, do the same way I was able to find my way around and to avoid the crime pull.
Navigate? How do I navigate? It's almost like you want to be their GPS.
Yeah, absolutely. To find a way out of this, into something else. I want to make more time for that. To do that, I have to cut down the performances, So every year I say, I'm not doing no more. I'm not doing no more show. And then Roma called me to come to a show in Canada. I'm like, okay, Roma, I'll do it, but okay. And because also, the stand-up comedy routine stuff, invariably, I made a post about it recently on Facebook, and people are like, yeah, but work with it. When I'm doing a comedy show, I'm invariably asked to be the closing act. And they say, because you're the big man and you're the one. But what I mean is I have to be at the show early and watch every act. Because they don't want to go there and repeat an idea or a concept. You won't repeat a joke because I don't tell jokes. I share stories. But if somebody had been beating one content and I want to go on the same content again, so I have to watch everybody and say, okay, cut that. Okay, adapt that change. So I have to come early and watch everybody perform. Also, laughter is tiring, When you laugh and laugh and laugh, your face hurt, your body tired and thing. When people have been laughing for 2 hours and I'm going on, I have to now work extra hard to keep it up. I'm like, Bertrand, that's hard work. I wanna work smarter than harder. So I'm like, okay. Well, it has never failed me. Knock on wood and give God thanks. But I'm conscious of the fact that it makes the work harder. But I'm doing so much, I want to make space to do a little bit more, and then I'll rest when I die.
I hear you, because it seems like giving back is that's your heart and soul. It's like you want to implant what you felt as a child from Miss Welsh, fall in love with these words.
Yeah.
Get into meet Miss Lou and all this. You're trying to gather all your experiences in almost like a SD card.
Yeah.
And implant.
Yes, perfectly put.
Yeah.
Perfectly put. I'm gonna thief that. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Load it on ethical. I thought, okay, take it and run with the young people.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
I could definitely see that young people, trench tone, the arts, learning, words is your heart.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And Trenchtown has so much to offer. When you drive through Trenchtown now, anybody who is able to do that, you enter for, because let me give you a quick geography history of Trenchtown.
Talk to me.
So Trenchtown is a small community, and it's literally it's like a rectangle, right? And if you think of it, you think of two roads that run parallel. Think of a ladder, and the two long planks. One is West Road and one is Collinsmith Drive. And across it now, those little steps are 14 steps. First to 14th Street. That's roughly Trenchtown.
That's
that ladder,
Trenchtown,
right? So to the west of it is Denham Town, lower end, and top end Jonestown. So if you think of a ladder, and the ladder has 14 prongs, and from 1 to 7, on the outside of that 1 to 7 is Denham Town, and outside of the 8 to 14 is Jonestown. On the other end now, on the eastern end, is the 1 to 7 is Rosetown and Whitfield Town. So Trenchtown does that ladder in the middle of there, so right. First to 14th Street is the little steps going up. And if you think about it now, Bob Marley sang in 1974. Bob Marley sang the song that's Natty Dread. I walk up to First Street, and then I walk up to Second Street to see. Then I try down to Third Street, and he sings about this street like a travelogue. And he ends with, I've got to reach 7th Street. He's not going further.
That's where he ended.
That's where he ended in the song. But the Trenchtown really goes from 1st to 14th Street. But in 74, Bob Marley sang that song, and he stopped at 7th Street. By 76, the then Minister of Housing, who was then Anthony Spalding, built a wall, a housing scheme across West Road at 7th Street and block it. So 7th Street is now, the Trenchtown now block at 7th Street. And that's how they created Riemann Jungle.
Okay, that's a divide. That's like basically the border.
The dividing line between Riemann Jungle, PNP and GLP, warring factions. So Bob was channeling, Bob was prophetically marking what it uncanny how Bob could have seen that. Because that song was about 74.
Yeah.
And the wall was built
2 years
76.
before.
Exactly. And that created division. So and by then now, 1st to 7th is the Rima. And 7th to 14th is Jungle. And then with a bitter war in the 70s. Right? That's Trenchtown. Right? And I tell people, I'm thinking that aren't seen. There's a song by Jody Phil, Culture. What a libam bamba, yeah. When the two sevens clash.
Yes.
Now, in all of our interpretation, we're seeing it as Jody Phil channel Garvey's prophecy that something big will happen when in the year 77, when the sevens clash. That's the year I left high school, by the way. That's in my seventh clash.
Yeah.
But in my head, how I see it is another way of seeing what happened, because for several years, those two sevens clashed. 1st to 7th Street and 8th to 14th Street.
7 and 7, yes.
Yeah, clashing, bitter political war over what? Over other people's lives, right? Political, because by 76, 77, if you live between 1st and 7th Street and you know labor rights, you have to cut. If you live from 8 to 14 people, you have to cut. And that's how they created these political enclaves. So the two sevens did clash in Trenchtown.
Wow. But you see how, again, you're able to see things and synthesize something out of the atmosphere and look at it that way. Because look, what you're saying makes total sense, boss.
And that's why I said Trenchtown is a site for exile, exodus, and pilgrimage. The exodus happened in the 30s when everybody moved from country come find life at Trenchtown, which was then Kingston's first squatter settlement. That's how Cedella Booker brought her son Bob to Trenchtown She was part of that exodus. I look life. I left country, come find life at town. And that exodus happened. That's how my grandparents went there, from Manchester to create life at Trenchtown. Exodus, rural to urban, exodus. The exodus happened. Then the 70s, political war, the exile happened. People run left them house because they were now purging to create labor only, PMP only enclaves. And the exiles happened. But throughout that, there was a pilgrimage. Mortimer Planner with Rastafarian doctrine, Vernon Carrington with 12 Tribe, the Rasta sect, and the reggae music. People were going there, just their heart are pushed there because there's something special there. And that pilgrimage still happens. It's the reason why there's the reason why now Trenchtown is the most in-demand place for Airbnb in Jamaica. That pilgrimage to come to the place that Bob Marley sings about. You want to know, go and experience that. That's Trenchtown. Yeah. Exodus, exile, and pilgrimage.
Wow, said like Mr. Trenchtown. You understand. I got a couple more for you because this conversation is crazy. And you being on television from 10 to you now being, you said you turned 60 or you're about to turn
I'm 63.
63.
Yeah.
That's what, 53 years, okay, in the art form. So even if we had a 7-hour conversation, we couldn't.
No.
So this is our first of many conversations. I got a couple more for you here.
Yeah.
The other day, I heard you tell a story called The Day I Died. You actually won a first prize.
Yeah.
And was a poetry
storytelling competition.
Storytelling competition.
What's Your Story, Jamaica?
Yes.
By Deborah Hare Art, yeah.
Tell me about that story, because I know all the stories had to be real. So clearly this is a real story.
Yeah.
The Day I Died. Talk to us about that.
So it is one of several stories about my life with Auntie Becca. Auntie Becca who raised me. And that's just one of so many Auntie Becca stories. Oh my God. And so my brother Aston, so I have a brother Aston, because I've been talking about Aston all over. Aston is my closest friend. And Aston, if you look at how my life is, my father had 9 children with 6 different mothers. I am the 5th of that 9. My mother has 6 children with 5 different fathers. I am number 5. Aston is the only brother I share with same mother and father. So my auntie a brother by father's side. Me Shirley by a mother, brother by mother's side. Charlene, father's side. Aston is my only full brother that we share the same mother and father. It's the only time, my father and mother only had 2 children with one person, and that to be us. And we're almost identical, Aston and I. And so I grew up, until I went to Excelsior High School, I was never a person. I was part of Aston and Keith. You hear them say, that for Shirley, that for Jean, that for Derek, that for Junior, this for Aston and Keith.
Yeah.
If Aston does something wrong, then beat Aston and Keith. So I was always part of a duo, Aston and Keith. When I went to Excelsior now, I became my own person. Because we went to the same primary school. So Trenton Primary, Aston and Keith. And then he went to Trenton High School, and I went to Excelsior. And that's when we kind of like, separate. He's 2 years my senior. So I was always follow back Aston anyway. I can play a few guitar notes because Aston play guitar, and I watch him. I was never taught to play the guitar. I just watch Aston and play guitar. Aston left-handed. And because he's left-handed, I bat left-hand because I watch him. I would like it shadow, right? Anything but follow back Aston. But he's gifted with music, right? He wasn't into books like I was. I was the quote-unquote bright one, right? But he was much smarter than me. He was not book smart, right? So he was in cadet at Trenchtown Comprehensive High School, and cadet at a camp in somewhere up Newcastle or something. But what happened was that at school gave holiday, he would head to Montego Bay, where my mom or mother lived. Because him learned from early, say, you're a town man, Montego Bay girls like you. So him gone, it gone girling. Yeah. That's his thing. Me not into books, I mean, okay. So he had gone to Montego Bay for the summer holidays, and them send for call him for cadet camp. And they said, I must go take the train, go to Montego Bay, tell Aston to come, and me can stay there till summer in Montego Bay with my mother. That was the plan. Never want to go, but you don't tell Auntie no. So, she sent me, and I took early in the morning, took the train, heading to Montego Bay, and the train derailed. It was 74. It was a big news item. Train derailed, but one lady died. One lady tried to jump out of her coach and it fell on her and thing. But the news got around at the train derailed across the Duane Bridge, just by 6 miles there. And Auntie was at the time selling fish on the roadside, and she heard the train crash, so she packed up her fish cart and went to looking for, she sent me go to my date as far as she's concerned. They went to, they heard that the people who were injured were taken to different hospitals, and she went to every hospital. I'm not there. She went to the scene of the crash and saw that there was an overturned coach, and she decided that I would be under the wreckage, and I'm dead. So Auntie sent telegram to Montego Bay, train crash, keep dead, come quickly. Telegram not related to Canada to my father. Train crash, keep dead, come quickly. All this time, what happened was that my coach hadn't derailed. It was still standing. They sent another engine and pulled back to the station. And I'm there trying to get a refund. All day waiting, no refund not happening. Fell asleep waiting, no refund. We go back. It's now after dusk, darkness, fall. Take the bus, head back to Trenchtown. During all this time, they have decided that I am dead. News starts spread, said train crash, keep dead, all together. I came off the bus at the corner of West Road and 3rd Street and was met by I couldn't decipher a single word. Virgin, me float upon a night of chaos and confusion from the bus stop to my yard. Reach my yard, the yard full of people. Fish a fry, chocolate tea a boil, night. I walked into my own night. Listen to me. I was thought to be dead. Trust me. And you hear a story about the prodigal son. Who they killed the fatted calf. Well, the prodigal son nearly get killed with beating.
But it's not my fault, though.
Yeah, but you make me waste my money on fried fish. And you're not dead. Not even a good scratch. You forget beaten. That was the response from Auntie. Trust me.
No, it's not my boss. Before you hug me up and say, yeah. Thank God.
No.
Yeah.
Not part of our cosmology. No, hug up and kiss up and thank God you're alive. That was Auntie's way of dealing with things. Kill and beaten.
Yeah. Boss.
And it's funny because you said that. No, hug up and love up and, oh God, you're happy, you're safe. No, that wasn't Auntie's style at all. And I remember feeling bad about the fact that I was doing well in school and never got any, oh, good job. Oh, good, doing well. Oh, I'm proud of you. No, you're lucky. No money now waste. And I kill it beaten. That was what I got for getting an A.
Yeah.
You're lucky. You're damn lucky. But there was never a good, no. Trust me.
But you know what? It's now that you could fast forward years later and look at it and you could laugh. You know what I mean? Especially you knowing how you really felt. It's like you think you're doing something good.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get probably special dinner, or I should say I'm proud, I love you, or whatever. The only thing you're getting is a warning that you're not getting licks because you're doing good.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're almost about to get licks anyhow.
Yeah, it's a reverse thing of, you're lucky.
Yeah, you're not
you
getting
escape a lick this time because you did well. If not, you're being praised. And I tell people all the while that that's how I was raised, and I have to learn from that. That I can't repeat that with my children. You have to be able to acknowledge when they're doing well and say you're doing well. And I never grew up on, I never get happy birthday. The first time I had a birthday party, me keep it myself. When I turned 16, I had my own birthday party. I never ever heard no, I love you, I'm proud of you, oh, you're good, ever. got it from my teachers. Miss Welch
It's Welsh.
was my very first, I'm proud of you, you're doing well, I love you. Miss Welch said to me years ago, you have great teeth. You must keep smiling.
Yeah.
I'll not forget that. Because at home, there was no acknowledgement.
There's
no
nothing to smile
encouragement. There's no empowerment. So, as a teacher, I have to do this for my children. As a community worker, I have to do it. I have to spend my time telling young people, hey, you're good. Be good, stay good because you're good.
You remember that emptiness, and you knew that Miss Welsh filled it.
Yeah.
So then you're doing for other people, you're now Mr. Welsh.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Whatever she did for other people, because again, you don't know the circumstances that they're going through at home.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to encourage them to be the best person that they could be. And you understood you had good examples, what was happening at home.
Yeah.
And what was happening at school.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand? So you know
Absolutely.
what you felt in both scenarios. So you know what was going on at school, made you feel good. So then you're trying to put that into your students also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm on the board for Trenchtown Primary School. I'm the deputy chairman of the school board. And it's the reason why I can't leave Trenchtown Primary School, because I'm doing it in honor of Miss Welch. And I see currently at Trenchtown Primary School, there's a Miss Pence in grade 3 who she's being Miss Welch for those kids as well. And I'm like, I have to support what she's doing.
Yeah.
Because I know what it did for me, it will do for those young people as well.
You understand the difference.
Yeah, man.
Amazing career, did a lot of good stuff. But then there was some point in your career where you decided to, first you went through Rastafari, but then you decided to really give your life to the Lord, become a devout Christian. Was there something that was happening in your life why you wanted to go that way? Or was it a series of things where that was just, this is just the time now to do this?
I think it's a combination of all of the above. There's always a search. There's always a yearning for living a life that had more meaning, that was more meaningful than just living for every day. Clearly, life can be just about just living for you. There's that. But I have my antenna open at all times, I think, to hear from the universe, to hear from a higher voice. What am I to do next? What am I doing my best? Am I being my best self? And is this what I'm intended to be doing? And I thought it. And then a series of serendipitous things that happened where, again, performances. I was asked to perform for a church. I went there. I heard a message. It kind of touched me. A sister who was very involved in theatre, from the PR angle, Scarlett Bihari, she died. I went to her funeral, and I just saw she was a beautiful young woman with just a wonderful spirit and soul, and she just went, pew. She had breast cancer just took her out suddenly, and I thought, what the meaning of life really and truly, and then I remember, I'm living here in Toronto, and I get this sense that I want to go back home. I just feel as if Toronto wasn't happening for me. And then my wife still thinks that I didn't try hard enough to make life in Toronto. But it just, and I kept feeling as if I had to be starting over. So the spirit just called me back to Jamaica. I remember leaving Scarlett's funeral Thursday, and I called Bello, my Virgin Bello, who was then a full-time minister, and said, I think I want you to baptize me, and I think I'm now ready to move my life to that level of serving Christ. And I did that, and then went to that place where I was trying to find the right place where I could serve, and I went to a church, Greater Works International Fellowship, GWIF, and the minister there, Apostle Andrew Scott, was a very popular Jamaican minister because of his works. His Greater Works is the name of the church, and he does some greater work.
Yes. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's sometimes very controversial. And I ended up there, and then I thing that I tell people all a while, something that I witnessed there, indisputable. I saw God at work. There's no question about that. Me not argue with nobody about theology and belief. I'm saying I experienced and saw, observed things that I can only explain as God at work.
You're not concerned with what they think, what they might think. No, I know what I saw. I know what I felt. I know what I understood.
Some things,
in front of me.
some things are unexplainable, except say, a God at work, and that's what happened with me. And I decided us, that it was a decision. Many people think that it's a magical thing happening in their head. I made a conscious decision. Say it's time to start serving God, and that's where I took my life. I'm currently worshiping with Family Word and Worship, the church led by the charismatic and wonderful minister Junior Tucker, who him and I can relate.
Okay.
Because Junior Tucker, the Trenchtown man, is a man who made it in dancehall and understand the challenge with your former self as an entertainer and your attempt to serve God.
And him leaving at the height of his career.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes. So I can relate to him and he can relate to me. But above all that is the understanding that in one of the few Jamaican churches where the first time I went there, I was the only man wearing a jacket suit. Because they can walk in there as you are and you're okay. You can stay. If you walk as you are now in some church, they might go up to them, take off your hat, or whenever in a church, at Family Worship Church, you walk in there as you are and you are embraced and loved and accepted.
Render your heart, not your garment.
The church,
come as you are.
The church motto is no perfect people allowed.
Got it.
I am happy there and I'm serving God and I've Pastor Junior Tucker has of recent time been asking me to every now and again share the word in church, and I'm humbled by that, and I take it not for granted, and I hope I'm by doing what I'm doing, helping somebody else to find their way. But me not go there and beat the body over them head with the Bible, and you must come and serve. Well, no, I hope
share your experiences, share your thoughts, and hopefully that catches the person.
Yeah, man. Lifestyle evangelism.
Yeah.
I want to be a star, but not star like, celebrity star. Star as in S, my body is a sanctuary. T, my life is a testimony. A, I am an ambassador for the kingdom. And R, I am ready. Ready to serve, ready to live, ready to be an example.
Let me ask you, so you did all this, you changed over, you were living in Toronto, you went back home, you wanted to change your life and stuff. How did it affect your career, whether in a negative way or a positive way? I
don't abide by negativity. So nothing to me is ever negative. Negativity is one way of spinning it. So I tell students all the while who come to me and say, sir, the exam has stressed me. I'm like, wrong word. You're mispronouncing the word. It's not stress, it's stretch. Because what you say is stress, that stretch you. And stretch will expand your capacity. So take on the stretch. So it's not to me, there's nothing negative. Moving back home and still living between Jamaica and Toronto, navigating the two spaces, and give me a chance to do more. I am working full-time at Edna Manley College. I'm teaching, and I can influence young theater artists. I served for 5 years in the School of Arts Management and Humanities. So that means that because I'm teaching arts management and humanities, the students who are there to study dance or music or visual arts or drama, I teach all of them. So I get a chance to touch the next generation, teaching them things like ethics. Yes, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a musician, you're an actor, but what are your belief systems? And how does your sense of right and wrong influence your art creativity? Because we have this assumption that artists always crazy, that artists always drugged out, that artists live some crazy life, that artists' sense of wrong and right can be warped, and we have one heap of artists who in a prison that people will think they see. An example. So
use them as an example.
Yes. So how, as an artist, as a creative, how do you understand yourself? How do you understand right and wrong? And how does those two things connect to keep you doing your good work? So I'm able to do those kind of things. And therefore, it's positive. I'm seeing the new generation, and I'm seeing people who I taught now teaching and creating. I mean, a great example is Maja Bless, or a young man named Oman Wright, who know as Maja Bless. Oman Wright, I met Oman Wright in the area youth crew where I used to work with them in the community. And then because of our influence, he went to school of drama, and he's now a drama teacher, dub poet, musician, and his children, his two kids are people in Jamaica. They call them super kids.
Yeah.
Ngozi and Tafari Wright.
Okay.
They were the two kids who were first to address Parliament, talking about kids' rights. And Omar just got a prize at Outstanding Father of the Year. And I'm like, I taught this young man, you know, and I helped him get in school of drama. And he's now doing great works. His kids are now paving a way. And I'm like, I can claim a small part of contributing to that. To me, that's what I'm doing. You know, that made me happy.
Positive.
That made me happy. Yeah, man.
A lot of positive. Last one I have for you here. For this edition of our conversation. Come when you're back in the place, still got a lot more.
All right.
Here. We just lost Bello a couple months ago.
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember a conversation, something you guys did where he said to you that would remain in your mind for the rest of your life?
Oh my God, there's so much. Because it's Bello and I we spent so much time together. On our first overseas trip, we were roommates in Barbados in 1981, Carfesta, right? And Bello's life is, let me tell you about Bello's life. Bello has been completely consistent with living as he understands being directed by a higher power, by a higher force. When we went to Carfesta in 81, the opening ceremony, they had the march past, the opening ceremony of Carfesta 81, he was selected to be in the march past to carry the Jamaica flag. And I'm tall, stature, could be like 6 foot tall, you know. And then them is slim too, you know, them was the perfect brother. And he was selected to be in the march past. And the day of the opening ceremony, him spirit say he mustn't go, because for some whatever reason. He stayed in his room. I went to the opening ceremony, sat in the stands, and vexed. Or me can't at the march, but him get a chance. And don't do it because him said, God said, yeah, I mustn't go. That kind of obedience, that's what Bello lived his entire life. Strict obedience to what he understood to be the voice of God. And that for me is the enduring lesson from Bello's life. Him live a life of complete obedience as he understands it to God. Me might not agree with God to talk to him, but he thinks so, and he act in obedience. And that's how he had lived his life. And I remember him, when he did Third World Cup, he was a devout Christian then. Because Bello became a Christian in second year at School of Drama from 1979.
From back then?
He was a Christian from then, 79, right? But he was always like, I have my Christian life, and I'm devout, but I have my life in theater, and they don't have to clash. He did Third World Cup, and he had to say the F word in the film. Many Christians condemned him. I thought, you're a Christian and you're a cuss. And to me, I won F word, but he said the word, and he was very simple. He said it very simply. He said, I, Winston Bell, didn't curse. The character, the cop, cursed. I can separate the two. If you think I cursed, then I think that I was the character. I'm not the character, I'm the actor. The actor simply was a vehicle for the character. And he's very clear about that. And to me, that way of framing things for me, it makes sense. And therefore, you know, and I think God bigger than those small things. God bigger than hair, God bigger than doctrine, God bigger than where I sat there Sunday, God bigger than where you say Father, the Holy Spirit, or whatever. God bigger than those things. But man make those things so big, it become a barrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, big into a bigger issue.
God bigger than those things. So, and Bello exemplified that. He lived that in every way, you know. And I've watched him. People can't say what anyone say about him. I've watched him close up. We share room several times. I've watched him close up. This man lived for God. And if he placed in heaven then nobody plays on heaven. Because me see him life, and he lived the life. He did not talk the talk, he walked the walk. Bello would give up his last cent, Bello was a man who never had no great material wealth. He was giving all the time. He might have treat every year. We find things to give him, him find it. He would take off his shoes and give somebody if they want a pair of shoes and walk barefoot. That was how he lived his life. No joke about it. So his life was a lesson for me. His life was an example for me of that star. He was always the embody of the sanctuary. No smoke, no drink. In living life like that, clean, So him are the ultimate Christian star for me. Sanctuary, testimony, ambassador, and ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Blakka.
Well, thanks and pleasure, man.
Thank you, boss. You understand?
Anytime.
I knew this conversation was going to be great, but I didn't understand it was going to be this epic of a conversation.
And there's so much unsaid.
Listen, that's why I said this is the first of many to go.
Oh, man.
You understand?
Pleasure, man.
If they want to check you out on social media, follow you, see what you're doing or anything, leave some info where they could check out, leave some big ups, anything right now while I get you out of here for the first installment of our conversation.
I'm on Facebook, Owen Ellis. Just Google the name Owen Blakka Ellis. Owen Augustus Ellis. AGUS. I am on Facebook at Owen Ellis and at I Augustus Ellis. And I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube at Trenchtown Man. Owen Augustus Ellis at Trenchtown Man. I'm on Instagram. Same thing. Owen Ellis, Owen Augustus Ellis, or I Augustus Ellis, Trenchtown Man. I'm there. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Google me.
Yeah. Any big ups?
Oh my God, I have to big up. So if I start, I might not get too far, but I would big up Oko Nasba Ozala Onora for being a pioneer in dub poetry. I have to big up the dub poets, the voice of people, my sister who walked on, who passed on, Jean Binter Breathe. Because Jean Binter Breathe and Bello and I were part of that set at School of Drama. And I big up them people. I have to big up my son, who's a dub poet, Jawara, and martial artist. Big up my Toronto peeps, D.B. Young, Roma Spencer, my sister Charlene, Danny Peart. I have to big up even starting, I have to big up my family, my church family, family word and worship, Pastor Junior Tucker, honor and respect, big man. Yeah, man. And there's more.
Well, we'll leave them for the next conversation.
Yes.
So I'm going to remember this group that you bigged up now.
Yeah.
And we're not going to big them up next conversation.
No.
We're going to big up
all
next
the
one.
others.
You understand?
Indeed.
So it's like you started from 1 to 7.
Yeah.
Next conversation, we're going from 8 to 14.
14. Yeah, they're a trench down it. Love and respect, man.
All the while, Mr. Blakka, all right?
Every time.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Muscle, and this has been another Two Line Music Hut's Entertainment Report podcast, and we are out. For now. Just for now. This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinedmusichut.com.